Live action. Welcome to the Ash Cash Show every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Make sure you are going to subscribe to the YouTube channel, ashcashtv.com. Then while you're at it, I want you to go to the ashcashshow.com and subscribe to the podcast. We also, if you go to the ashcashshow.com, right in the middle of that page, there is a support the podcast page or button. Please press on that button. I promise you, it is necessary. It's needed. It is, as low as 99 cents, right? So $1. So I hope I'm worth at least $1 to you. So I hope that. But make sure you go to the ashcashshow.com and subscribe to the podcast. Hit the support button because again it takes support for us to keep doing this. It's not just me. I'm just the face. I'm just the face. But there's a whole team behind us making this thing happen, making sure that you guys get the news the way it's supposed to be given. I like to say that this is financial motivation, or inspiration, no hype, right? Financial motivation, no, all inspiration, no hype. Because I think a lot of times, what's different about other news sources is that there's a lot of you're sensationalizing news. So as always, we're gonna start with the markets. We'll talk about what's happening, in financial news. We'll talk about the markets. We'll talk about what's happening in the news, and then we will go and open it up for any questions. So we'll go to our Ask Ash Cash segment of the show. With the Ask Ash Cash segment, if you guys have any questions, make sure if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on Twitch, that you put your comments in the comment box. If you're watching live on Instagram, in the question box, please put your questions in there. I try to skim and look at the comments as you guys are saying it, but it's really hard for me to do so. And so it's easier if you have any questions to just throw them in the question box, and we'll get to that portion. All right, so starting with the markets, if we're looking at the markets as of close of business, Tuesday, March 26th, the NASDAQ was up 0.17%. S&P 500 was up 1.23%. Dow Jones was up 2.17%. Gold was down 1.82%. 10-year Treasury is up 5 bits, and then oil is up 3.22%, and that's as of market close. So the New York Stock Exchange did open up yesterday for the first time with some social distancing rules. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo rang the bell, reopening the New York Stock Exchange, and investors were excited. At one point, the S&P 500 rose to 3,000. The Dow briefly peaked at 25,000, and investors are liking the pace of the reopening, and so we'll continue to watch that to see how the economy is going to do with this reopening. In other news, housing actually, new sales reports came out and showed that housing is up 0.6% in April. And again, surprising because considering the, Rona is out here. But I also believe that a lot of that is because there's still optimism, as there should be. There's still optimism in the economy, optimism in people wanting to move forward with their lives, optimism in general, and so we're just gonna watch to see that. It's funny. So if y'all didn't tune in, it's still on my Instagram. So if you didn't tune in yesterday, I had a very, very exciting interview with A. Donahue Baker. I left it up on my Instagram. I will be taking it off at some point because just to force y'all to go subscribe to the podcast. But I'm actually gonna take the audio and put it into the podcast. And so if you're listening to this on the podcast, just be aware that A. Donahue Baker, that piece That interview we did was so powerful. We gave so many jewels as it related to how to build wealth, true wealth. The reason why you should have LLCs, holding companies. Like we went in. And so I'm gonna release that pretty soon. So hopefully, if you're listening, if you're watching live, listen to that that video. But I will be archiving it soon, taking it down, so you're not gonna see it no more. So make sure y'all check that out. In Black people news, no, it's not even Black people news. I'm laughing because I'm laughing from exhaustion, right? So hundreds gathered in Minneapolis intersection where George Floyd died after police encounter. I'll be honest, I'm exhausted at this point. Because at the end of the day, I feel like nothing has ever changed. I don't think that nothing has ever changed as it relates to racism and the way racist people view Black people. And I think that now that we have video and we can see it, I think that's what's making it, it pushes it to the forefront. I said this before, and it's just a fact. I don't watch those videos, so I didn't see the video. I've seen pictures and the comparison to like Colin Kaepernick kneeling but I didn't watch the video. I won't watch the video. I have not watched any videos that do that for my own mental health sanity reasons, because and I get why people are doing it. I get why people are putting memes, Black men I love you, and and saying racism, and they don't respect us, and the color of my skin. That is I don't believe in that narrative. I don't believe in that narrative. Style Lewis says, I'm so glad they did. We finally show as a people. I don't believe in a narrative around. I'm not asking for something that's mine already. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking for anything that's mine already. And thank you. So Budding Gross also, right there. So there was the lady Amy Cooper, who is who called the cops on somebody from Central, a Black man in Central Park, saying that, hey, he's harassing me, and obviously he wasn't doing anything. So Book of Jill is saying, what narrative? So I don't believe in the narrative of I don't believe in the narrative that I'm not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't believe in the narrative that my life is less than anybody else's life, right? And the reason why I'm saying that I don't believe in that narrative, meaning that I love the fact that we come together as a people, right? I love the fact that there are cries that Black man, I love you, and all that stuff. And I almost feel like, and this is just my opinion about it, I almost feel like the reason why racism is still alive is because we come together when in times of need, right? And so I get what you're saying, Style Lewis, about showing up. And we showed up as a people, but that's reactive to me. I don't care about reaction, right? Because your reaction to something still means somebody's in control. So racism is alive because we allow it to be alive. We come together when there's tragedy, right? Like, do you call your brother and your sisters kings and queens when there's no tragedy, right? Do you pray when everything is all good, or do you wait till things are not good for you to pray to God? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not righteous. I'm not being righteous because I work on this every day. I'll give you a prime example. Like, I was going through some personal stuff in my life, towards last year. Everybody knows that my mom had passed away, or you may not know, but my mom passed away last year. Was going through a lot of personal stuff, which drew me closer to God. Right? Drew me closer to God. And that drawing me closer to God allowed me to realize what's most important, right? It's God, right? And me being drawn to God because I was going through some personal stuff made me realize that I need God all the time, right? Like I need to be leaning on God all the time. And so as things started to shift from a place of darkness, I will say for me, and people will probably not know it, but this is like, it was the biggest, loss that I had. And so I was in a place where I couldn't really even talk to it's hard, right? Unless you lost a mom, you know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to, unless you lost somebody really close like that, like it's hard to talk to people who haven't realized it. You could, people could give you in theory, like, oh, everything's gonna be all right, but it's a different type of pain that I never felt before. And so I, again, leaned towards God. And as I leaned towards God, I realized that I needed to put God first. And then as I started getting to a space of more clarity, I realized that don't only lean on God when you're in trouble. That's just the way of life, right? And I'm saying that to say that I don't agree with the narrative, of unity only in times of strife, because that's the reason, right? That's the reason why racism is still alive, I believe, is because we only unify in the times of strife. Like, what are you doing on your day-to-day basis to make sure, like do you walk, like I make it a business. I do not walk by anybody, none of my brothers and sisters, without saying nothing to them. Whether I don't expect them to say nothing back. There's times I walk by my kings, I be like, what up, king? Head nod, what's up? I say stuff. Some people are taken aback and are like, oh, it's good. Some people say nothing. They look at me like I'm crazy. But you're a king, right? No matter what, though. Not when we get shot in the street, not when we get killed by the police. You're a king every day. You're a queen every day. And I'm not trying to be righteous. And so that's what I'm saying, that I'm sort of over it, because I promise you there's certain ethnicities, there's certain communities that you can't even play with on a day-to-day basis. You can't play with them on a day-to-day basis. You can't play with them. And we just got to get to that level. When we stop being reactive and being proactive, then we'll know things are good. You know what I'm saying? Then we'll stop having to do these hashtags and like, how you begging for something that's yours? They ain't God. How you begging for life? How you begging for you to see me? Nah, that's my God-given right. You're not giving me nothing that's already mine. Like, I'm a king. I walk out the door, I'm a king. And what my guy Malcolm said, I can't I'll paraphrase it, right? I'll paraphrase it. He says, be righteous, but if somebody put their hands on you, send them to the cemetery. He said, if somebody could find a quote that for me. Quote that for me. Put that in the quote, right? Be a good citizen, obey the law, do all that. But if somebody put their hands on you, send them to the cemetery. And so I'm saying, and it's not even militant. This is like, I'm not fighting for something that's mine. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not fighting for nothing that's mine. I'm not asking you for nothing. You can't give me nothing. You're not God. I'm not asking you to respect me. Nah, because I'll give you an example. It's like, and this is why I get outraged by this, because I grew up in Harlem, right? We ready for hours though. Like, we walk in the street, we ready. Let me go to the corner. Let me go to the corner and look at a dude crazy. He ready for me. We always ready for ours. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we come from these places, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we not ready for everybody. I'm ready for everybody. And I'm not no gangster. I promise you that I'm not no gangster. But I protect me and mines. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's all I say about that. And y'all gotta understand, and that's why I do not like talking about these things. I do not. Y'all gotta understand. I don't know. So a lot of people, when they see me, they think I'm short, right? Because I don't know. Because maybe because I'm always sitting down, right? People don't realize, yo, I'm a big black dude. You know what I'm saying? So trust me when I tell you that, yo, I'm 6'3", right? 290 pounds. That's why they call me Shaq when I'm on the court. Like, I'm a big guy. I'm not like no small dude. So if you met me in person, you know that. I'm a big dude. And so, you know, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I cannot get past these things because I am much more a target than people understand. Right? So I do not take these things lightly. I'm not taking these things lightly. I know if I'm in a confrontation, what my guy, you know, Big said, you know, a fist fight will be asinine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I promise you, when people see me, they're not thinking about fighting me. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm aware of that. You know what I'm saying? And it just is what it is. I was gonna say it's sad, but it just is what it is that people are so insecure within themselves that they are afraid of somebody just because of how they look. You know what I'm saying? And so that's all I'll say about that. Amy Cooper was fired. You know, she was fired from her job. She was in the finance space. Franklin Templeton, I think is the name of the company. She was fired. And so that's all I'll say on that. So Twitter places fact-checking warning on Trump tweets for the first time. Twitter has placed a fact-checking warning on a tweet issued by President Trump in which he claims without evidence that mail-in ballots are fraudulent. Twitter moves on Tuesday marks the first time the technology company has sanctioned Trump as criticism mounts about how the president has amplified misinformation to more than 80 million followers on social media platforms. So Trump responded by accusing Twitter staff of free speech, right? And so I think every day that I watch what happens in this presidency is like shocking, you know? And it's crazy because Bud and Gross says Twitter needs to do better. I agree. And it's a fine line, you know, between having, you know, the president, right, the leader of the free world, just breaking rules from day one. Like, we're going on 4 years of this guy just breaking all rules, running the country like a mafia. And that's just, it's crazy. It's crazy how the country is really being run like a reality show. And I wish, you know, and not being, you know, I don't even care about like partisanship, you know, where we talk about, Republican, Democrat. At the end of the day, it's about what's right for the country, is what I believe. And when I look at this, I'm like, man, this is like, you know, man, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? How the country's being run. But in lighter news, I saw something on the Shade Room that Trump remixed T.I.'s. I don't know if y'all saw that. He remixed T.I.'s. You can have whatever you like. It was like, I don't need Joe. No, you don't need Joe Biden. Need Joe Biden. As long as you have me, you don't need Joe Biden. I just found that was so funny. I don't like it. Really sound like T.I., but you know, he says need your body. So I don't know if I don't know if it's like if they remixed it. I don't know how they did it, but it was funny. I found it funny because like literally, you know, you use T.I. to say, you don't need Joe Biden. As long as you have me, you don't need Joe Biden. I thought that was funny. But in other news, y'all know I'm a big fan of the versus battles. And so Swizz, Beatz, and Timberland, they've been upgrading it. And I didn't even talk about the Jagged Edge and 112 versus battle, because salute to the OGs though, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna down talk them, but you know how you got your old uncle who still think they cool, you know what I'm saying? And no disrespect, because I know I'm knocking on those doors as well. So at some point somebody gonna look at me and look at me like I'm somebody's uncle too. But that's what it felt like, you know what I mean? Watching it. They was like too cool for school, but then the sound, there was things, it was bad, right? It was a bad versus battle. And so Come to find out though, it's Swizz, Beatz, and Timberland they created this new rule, and so there's the technology company, Roland, I believe. They make. Let me just make sure that's the name of it. I think it's Roland. Um, I know Roland from back in the days when they was doing turntables and mics and mixers and things of that nature. But there was a partnership between Roland and Versus, where they actually created different a specific a tool so people could use while they're on Versus battle. And it's the first time we're hearing about it, but if you look at the difference, right? So if you look at Ludacris, and his sound quality compared to others, he was somebody that they said have used it. When you looked at 112 and Jagged Edge, 112 used it, but they said Jagged Edge wasn't using it, and so now it's mandatory, right? So I think at first, what they were saying was that it was a they were giving people the choice, but they were like, listen, if you're not gonna use this sound quality, then you can't do Versus, which I found is awesome, just from a business perspective, because when you look at it from a business perspective, the fact that they are cracking down on the sound and increasing the quality, I think that's dope. Number one. Number two, I think the fact that they have these partnerships, right? They're having these partnerships. They're doing these things. Like, this is an official, like, you think of the billions of hits and views that they have. This is a great example of how you leverage and pivot an idea, because they had the idea already prior to COVID happening, but COVID-19 really accelerated, right? It really accelerated this idea to the next level, and it's taking its legs. I can't wait to see how this evolves, because even post COVID, this is going to evolve into something bigger, I believe, and I love the fact that they're doing that. So that was dope. In other news, I saw something I was interested in. Run the Jewels they signed to BMG. So if you know, Run the Jewels is a duo with Killer Mike, and so I always call him Big Mike, but it's Killer Mike. And I love Killer Mike. I love Killer Mike because he has been always somebody who is on the forefront of financial independence and empowerment, and I love this as the analogy, or the model, right? Because a lot of times people talk independence versus signing on to a big label, and sometimes there's always this sentiment that one size fits all, that let's only go in one direction, but there isn't one size fit all. Like, sometimes there are things that are gonna be based on what you need at that current moment, and so somebody like Killer Mike, who owns barbershops, owns real estate, has a bunch of businesses, is on the forefront of securing his family's generational wealth, but then also providing jobs to the community, and still has a music career, knows the independent route, but understands at this level of the game, to get to the next level, having this strategic partnership, right? So we look at signing, not all, signing deals are the same, right? When you look at strategic partnerships, some are going to be about trying to, you have to have leverage, is what I'm saying, right? Some are going to be about, hey, I'm going to use this opportunity to have somebody else help me get to the next level, or, what I'm saying, meaning that, hey, they have more leverage than me because it's more beneficial for them. They're going to push, and so that they become the ones in power. But then when you look at a situation like Killer Mike, where him and Run the Jewels, where they already have a fan base and they've proven their business model, they're successful here already. But in order for them to take their stuff global, this partnership works. So they're coming already with a catalog. They're coming already with proving that they can move certain numbers, and now they just need this partnership for access. And so I love that. Um, in other news, Warner Music Group is filing for an IPO, initial public offering, and so the company has been public before, but they were bought by another company for $3.3 billion. But now the company is ready to come back out and and go public again. And so, I think this public offering is worth $1.3 billion. Warner Music Group is the home of Cardi B, the home of Lizzo, even the late great Nipsey Hussle, right? So Atlantic is under Warner, and so there's a lot of music that is out there. The reason why I'm bringing this up because ownership is the key, and so if when you start to look at the possibilities of this, this IPO happening, the possibilities of potentially not only consuming, right? We talk about this a lot. You have four types of people. You have consumers, producers, investors, and philanthropists, right? And so when you look at not only consuming music, you should want to own music as well. And so, it's not only Warner Music, but check, as you're looking at these different companies and these streamings and you're listening and things of that nature, it's important to see how can I become an investor. Let me look and see, does it make sense to invest in, what I'm consuming? And so that's why I'm bringing up this story that don't only look at yourself as a consumer, that you only could sit on the sidelines and consume. There are opportunities for you to become a producer or investor as well. So check that out. Let me see. I think that's it for my news. What else I got? Let me just make sure I'm going through everything. All right, I think we goodmoney.com. All right, so I'm going to open it up now. This is the Ask Ash Cash segment of the show. You have questions, I have answers. And so if you have any questions, right, if you're looking at, if you're watching from Facebook, if you're watching from YouTube, if you're watching from Twitter or Twitch, please put your comments in the comment box. If you're watching on Instagram, please put your stuff in the question box as well. All right. Big shout out, my guy Carter Ragland. What up, my G? Salute to you. Shelly Love on the Facebook check-in. So true. Some like it when things go bad. People always call on God, but when things are good, people don't call on Him. And like you said, people do not have unity or check on one another. Seems like this only happens when something bad happens. Like you said, we should be like this daily. Yeah, and honestly, it's weird because this is the second day. I think it's second day in a row that I'm very passionate about Black Matters, right? I'm very passionate about it, and that's why I don't watch the news. That's why I don't talk about a lot of stuff publicly because I don't like when somebody can control my emotions. I don't like it, and I'm still working on that. You know what I'm saying? So, I definitely think that, that's something I got to work on because I do get angry. I get angry. Like I hardly get angry, but I get angry when it comes to Black Matters only because, and I'm not angry at the people who are doing it, right? I'm angry at us, honestly. I'll be honest with you 100%. And so that's why I don't like to talk about these things. I don't like to watch the news because, I feel like not all of us, but I think that a lot of us kind of fall under that victim mentality, right? Like we run around like victims, and because we run around like victims, I don't like the whole begging for your life thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really don't like that. You know what I mean? Cause I think because I'm tapped into who my higher power is, I just like I refuse to look at any man as somebody that could give me something. Like that just doesn't sit right with me. I refuse to look at that. And honestly, that's why I talk about financial freedom all the time. That's why I talk about multiple streams of income. You know what I'm saying? I have strategic partnerships with corporations. I've had job, but I've always felt comfortable that I wanted to be not my own boss for the sake of being my own boss either. It's not even an ego thing. It's just that I just know that God will provide. You know what I'm saying? Like, God will provide. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, because I posted this on my Instagram the other day actually, and I'm gonna say this, right. So it was one of the brothers was talking about what you need, right. And I pulled these scriptures from all three spaces, right. I pulled it from the Quran, I pulled it from the Bible, I pulled it from the Torah, right. So whether you're Muslim, if you're Christian, if you're Jewish, whatever, right, God will provide to you, right. And it says, what the Quran says, right? And he, Allah, will provide him from sources he never could imagine. And whosoever puts his trust in Allah, then he will suffice him, right? Verily, Allah will accomplish his purpose. Indeed, Allah has set a measure for all things, right? That's the Quran. The Bible, what does the Bible say? In Luke 12, verses 24, it says, consider the ravens. They've never sown nor reaped. They have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them. Of how much more value than you are of the birds, right? So the birds, they don't sow nor reap, but they still eat, right? And then lastly, and actually I'm gonna bring some Abraham Hicks into it as well, right? So no matter what you believe in, is what I'm saying, right? And so now the Torah says, although you will take notice of the fact that you must gather your bread today, do not be concerned with worries that belong to the next day, saying, who knows if tomorrow will be like today. Rather, you should place your trust in Hashem, who today provides like rain on the surface on the earth, right? And then if you are spiritual, or if you follow Abraham Hicks says, yo, like, you got to vibrate on the level of what you want. You don't have to do nothing to get anything. Right? Like, you don't have to do nothing to get anything. And that's contradictory, because they're like, faith without works is dead, and grind. This is what I believe. I believe that faith without works is dead as it relates to what you want. I believe your needs are already supplied to you if you're tapped in. If you're tapped in and you understand your God power, then your needs, like, I don't wake up in the morning asking God for stuff that I need. Right? Your universe, God, I don't ask for what I need, because that's already given. Abundance is my birthright. Like, I was born abundant. I don't have to ask for abundance. I'm given abundance just by the fact that I'm alive and I'm breathing. I have abundance. Right? And all of my needs are taken care of. So I'm never asking for stuff that I need. All of my faith, my works is about my wants. It's not about my needs. But that's a different level. You got to be tapped in to be at that level. I never needed anything. No matter how much I tell you I grew up in the projects and low income and all that, like, I never needed for nothing my whole entire life. Because in the beginning of my life, my mama prayed. You know what I'm saying? So I was protected under the covenants of my mama. And then as I started tapping into my God self as well, you know what I'm saying, then I understood that. And so I say all that to say is that, we have to understand that, you already have what you are who you are. You got what you got. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about faith, and when you think about, what you're putting out there, understand your power. Because if you don't understand your power, then you go wrong. All right, off my soapbox. See what I'm saying? Y'all pushing out a lot for me, because I normally stick to this one lane. You know what I'm saying? Of finance. Like, let me just give you my finance stuff. But yeah, now y'all pushing me out my lane. All right, let's see. All right, cool. All right, let's see what questions y'all got. All right, so we're gonna go to MJ DeSoul. And so MJ DeSoul says, what are the tax benefits for small businesses filing Corp S, right? you have to. So if you didn't watch the live that I did with A. Donahue Baker, you know, he definitely broke that down. He definitely broke it down. You know, the benefits, right? And so a couple of things that we got to understand is that all corporations, right? Like all corporations or entities are really, they have their own, you know, they have their own benefits, right? They have their own benefits. And so when you look at an LLC compared to social proprietorship, compared to SCorp, compared to a C-Corp, they all have their different benefits. And there were tax laws that actually the Trump administration had instituted that saved S-Corps a lot of money, right? But as a solopreneur, right, as somebody that's a solopreneur, like, meaning that, such as myself, right, I have people that I work with as a team, but I don't employ those people, right? I provide, you know, I hire people as independent contractors, so I don't have employees. So I'm a solopreneur. What happens though is that when you file for an S corp, it's really about you know, taxes, right? It's really about what tax protection do you have that you know, for your company. And so as a LLC or single member LLC or solopreneur or whatever, you want to make sure that whatever entity that you pick is right for what you're doing. And so what I'm saying is that S corps have benefits as it relates to taxation, you know, and it's its own entity. But what happens is that if you you may not need the S corp, right? And so I'll you know, watch the live because I don't want to misspeak about the differences between the two. But there is there are tax implications, meaning that if somebody files for an S corp, what happens is that you might subjugate yourself to double taxation, right? Because what happens is that when you have profits from an S corp perspective, then because it's its own entity, the S corp gets taxed. And then if you pay yourself through the S corp, now you personally get taxed as well. From an investor's perspective, like sometimes when you're looking at investors might not put money into an LLC, right? And so if you're building a business that you want to sell eventually, or you want to do an IPO or whatever, then, you know, doing it as an LLC might not be the right structure. And so there are different ways that you could benefit from, you know, having an LLC versus a, you know, different structures. I'll do a series. I want to do a whole series on structures and how to structure your business and all that stuff. So I'll work on that. But yeah, but to your question is that there are tax benefits as it relates to, you know, how it's taxed, because I want to say immediately after the Trump laws, the S corps immediately got a 20% tax deduction, and so meaning that the corporation kept more of the tax money, and so those are just some of the you know, some of the benefits. Appreciate that. So another question by 21 Keys that says, how can parents help kids structure their business? I think that number one, as a parent, looking at what structure do you want for your kid? You know what I'm saying? So is your kid, you know, is your kid going to have an LLC? Are they going to stay a sole proprietor? Like, what is the structure? I believe that when you look at businesses and you look at structures, the most important thing that you want to do is protect your entity, right? So you got to protect your entity. And so, you know, A. Donahue Baker gave a great tip in the video that we did, and again, I'll post it on the podcast soon. But he talks about creating an LLC that's not public facing, right? That never sees the public, and so that way, that's another added level of protection, because if that LLC never sees the public, then you really can't ever sue that LLC, right? And then it's a holding company that you put all of your assets in, but then the LLC that has all the public-facing stuff, you allow the holding company to own that LLC in order to still have that ownership, but then have all the assets go through or be held by the holding company, so that if anybody ever tried to sue the public-facing LLC, there's nothing that they could come after, right? And so I think that number one is structuring your kid's business in that way, having a holding company that's not public-facing, and then having sort of like this LLC, or corporation or sole proprietorship, whatever it is, as the structure. And then I would say just make sure that you understand as much as your kid understands business, right? So taking a business course and understanding how business works, profit and loss, business models, SWOT analysis, all that good stuff. And then really, I think that in any business, the most important part about business is marketing. Sales and marketing. Those are the most, operations sustains it, right? So you need operations, you need systems, you need that in order to sustain your business, but you also need sales and marketing. If you're not selling anything, if people can't see what you're selling, then it doesn't really matter, And so I think that, structuring the business is one thing, but then also within that structure, what is your sales plan? What is your marketing plan? And then move according to that. Great question. 21 keys. So Budding Grows 64 says, do you have an autobiography out? If not, will you write one? Yes, I should do it. I think I'm gonna do it this year. I'm gonna push it up because it's tentatively titled From the Bank to the Block, or From the Block to the Bank. But the Ash Cash story. I never wanted to write an autobiography because I kind of felt like I wanted to accomplish more things in my life before I wrote an autobiography. Now when I think about like COVID-19, it gave a lot of us, all of us, time to reflect. Time to look at our lives. And when I look at my life, I live like 4 lives already. It's crazy. Like, I'm on my 4th life, right? What Hov said, I'm so far ahead of my time. I'm about to start another life. Look around you. I'm about to pass you twice. Like, it's crazy when I think about, and I say that from a blessing perspective. Not, I'm not bragging. I'm not trying to, put myself up against anybody. None of that. But I look at my life in certain droves, right? And so I think the first half or the first part of my life was, number one, growing up in the inner city and navigating that, right? I've been an entrepreneur since 8 years old, packing bags, local supermarket. I was doing that since I was 8. You know what I'm saying? Fast shout out to my guy Rich Kid. At 12 years old, my guy Rich, got me out in the streets selling mixtapes and T-shirts. You know what I'm saying? So like I was doing that. So that's the first part of it, and trying to maneuver being a kid, playing basketball, getting in trouble, like maneuvering that part. Then, if in the hood, we live in dog years. So by the time I was 17, I felt like I was 30. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't live like 17 in a regular, environment seems like you still a kid. But by the time I was 17, I had already like lived a whole adult life. You know what I mean? Coming in 3 a.m, doing whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like by 17. And so from 17 till about 24, I want to say, was my corporate years. You know what I'm saying? Of like, being in corporate America, Blockbuster Videos, Chase, and doing all that stuff. And, really, no, you know what? From 17 to 27, let's say, because I left and it came back. And so, that was another part of my life. You know what I'm saying? Private banking, running branches, doing all that stuff. That was, excelling on that perspective. And then I would say from 27 till about, 30 something, 30, I want to say, is another part, you know, is like figuring out this entrepreneurship thing and finding my way and, you know, writing books and trying to, you know, compete with people and blah, blah, blah. And then from 35 to now, I just been walking in my God self, you know what I'm saying? So this is my God hour, you know, like this is me realizing like fully, you know what I mean? Like fully realizing, who I am, you know, I'm not 40 yet. You know, so you know, I'm realizing I do have a story to tell, you know, and to that question, I am gonna write it from the bank to the. I don't know if that's gonna be the real the that's why I say it's tentatively, because I was gonna talk about, you know, I was only gonna talk about like my street, you know, my street life, and then, you know, my bank life, like being a CEO and all that stuff. But I think it's bigger than that, and so God has to be, you know, because I'm in my, you know, like I'm in my God hour right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm in my, you know, I'm in my God self, and this is the period that I'm living in right now, and so I think that God has to be part of that. So yeah, I will write an autobiography, and you know, I'll push it up because you know, it was on my radar, but I'll push it up and. Do it sooner than later. But I might hire a ghostwriter, meaning that I want somebody to interview me and write it for me. And so if you're a ghostwriter, or if you're somebody that may be interested in that project, email me info@mindrightmoney.com. And yeah, maybe we could talk about that. And because I don't want to write it, I don't want it to be biased. I just want to be able to tell my story and let somebody else put it together. Lady Tanisha said, just finish your book, Mind Right, Life Right. It's funny because Mind Right, Life Right is that's my God hour book. Like, I love that book. Like, that came straight from God. Like, I remember hallucinating 2-3 in the morning, waking up with messages and just kind of jumping out from there. But let me continue these questions. Let's see. My guy Shabazz Bailey says, how do you feel about our people buying municipal bonds and starting super PACs to gain back control of our cities? Like, you already gave the answer, right? I think that's how we do it. I think that's how we do it, right? So understand that when you buy municipal bonds, you're buying bonds. You know, now the city, right? You're buying their debt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're giving them money in exchange for debt. So now they owe you. You know what I'm saying? Having a super PAC. You know, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, right? Having super PACs where you're contributing economically, right, to your local municipality. If you do that, Minnesota's not happening. You know what I'm saying? It's not happening. Because if you have control of your city, right? If you control it, if you pay the cops, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to have to respect you. Because if they don't, right? Like this is why I respect the Nation of Islam, right? Like, think about like the Malcolm X movie, right? Think about that, for instance. You know, think about, you know, when brutality happened, they rallied the troops. They wasn't, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, they you know, like, you know, Nation of Islam, Black Panthers, even though, you know, people try to muddy that history of the Black Panthers, but it was about self-preservation. Like, that's the rule of life, is self-preservation. Like, don't ask nobody to do something for you that you're not willing to do for yourself. How you asking other people to do for you what you're not willing to do for yourself? You asking for somebody to show you respect, but you don't respect yourself. Because if you respected yourself, you would understand that you would not put power in the enemy. Somebody showing you they don't love you, but you still are putting your trust in them. You still rely on them for your safety, for how you eat, for how you live. So you asking for something that you don't even give of yourself. And so when you think about buying municipal bonds, you're saying, yo, I'm going to own the city. So instead of, you know, me asking the city to support me, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. If I have a super PAC and I'm putting money behind the politicians and the people who I want, who are going to support my needs, then I control the city. And so we have to get out of the, we have to get out of the habit of asking people for stuff that we don't give ourselves. In everything. In business, in life, in politics, and everything. Give it to yourself first. Right? Don't get into no relationship asking for somebody to love you if you don't love yourself. Right? Don't go starting a business asking people to support your business, but you don't support other people's business. Right? That's how I know, like, my businesses are always going to do well. Because I'm not asking people for stuff that I don't give out. I see a small business doing their thing and they bring in value, I support them. Which is why I have no doubt in my mind that if somebody sees my business and they think, they see that I'm giving value, they're going to support me. And so in life, you know what I'm saying, you have to be able to give what you want. Right? What Drake said, it is what it is. Trust me, you get what you give. Blessed. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Trust me, you get what you give. Blessed. Right? Understand that. And so to your question, my guy Shabazz Bailey, how do you feel about our people buying municipal bonds and starting super PACs to gain back control of our city? That is the answer. That is the number one answer. That's how you do it. Right? You control everything, right? What did Rockefeller say? Rockefeller say, own nothing, control everything. That is the key to wealth. This is why the Rockefellers will never, ever need money ever. Their families are good forever. The Rothschilds, all of these, these super duper, they so rich they don't even make the Forbes list. It's a joke to them. Right? Own nothing, control everything. When we talk about LLCs, right? It's about control. Own nothing, control everything. And so if you are buying municipal bonds, you don't own the city, right? But you control it because you own their debt. If you start a super PAC and you get your politicians into office that support you, you don't own them, but you control them, right? You start an LLC and place your business in that LLC. You don't own it, but you control it because the LLC is its own entity. You don't own LLCs. LLCs have their own EIN numbers for a reason. You don't own it. It's its own entity. You can't own the entity, but you control it. Own nothing, control everything. All right. Salute to you, King. My guy Shabazz Bailey. Because that's a great way to close out the show. Y'all, I love y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. The Ash Cash Show. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, ashcashtv.com. Make sure you subscribe to the show, the ashcashshow.com. And then also make sure that you are supporting the show. When you go to the ashcashshow.com, there is a button right in the middle that says support. Please, please, please support it. You could support with as little as 99 cents. But I love y'all. Like y'all don't understand what it takes to do this. But the reason why I'm doing it out of love. Like I will be doing this as long as God wills me to do it. But I love y'all, like, from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. I see the numbers are going up. More people are tuning in, so I love y'all for that. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. Enjoy your Wednesday. Have a great, great, great Wednesday. I'll see y'all tomorrow, same time, same place. All right, peace.